Let's go Broncos! You are not going to want to miss this update. It could reshape the entire direction of our defense. Just when things were starting to click in training camp, the Denver Broncos have been hit with a major setback that could seriously impact our chances this season. The news about Drew Sanders is tough to swallow, and what it means for our linebacker room, our depth, and our defensive identity going forward is even more intense. But don't go anywhere. I'm breaking down exactly what happened, what the options are, and how this could open the door for unexpected heroes on this roster. But before I dive all the way in, smash that like button if you're a true Broncos fan who rides with the team through every high and low. And if your blood runs orange and blue, drop a comment that says, "Go Broncos!" We're not just fans, we're family. Now let's get into the full breakdown, because what just happened with Drew Sanders is bigger than a simple injury report. There's no easy way to say this. Linebacker Drew Sanders has gone down with another significant injury. It was a heartbreaking scene yesterday during team period at practice. Sanders, entering his third NFL season and still regarded as a player with enormous potential, suffered a lower body injury. The visual was grim. He couldn't put any weight on his leg and had to be carted off the field. Once inside, 2 trainers assisted him, and the atmosphere around the team turned somber almost instantly. Head coach Sean Payton initially reassured everyone that it wasn't an Achilles injury. However, he mentioned they would know more after the MRI. That MRI came back, and it confirmed what no Broncos fan wanted to hear. According to a tweet from Ian Rappaport, Drew Sanders suffered a tendon injury in his foot that will sideline him for an extended period. The injury is serious enough that he is not expected back before the season begins. And to make matters worse, they're still not sure which specific tendon was damaged. Additional testing and possibly exploratory surgery are likely next. For Sanders, this is yet another cruel twist of fate. After dealing with an Achilles injury last April, he now faces yet another significant setback just as he was looking to solidify his role in this defense. The brutal reality is setting in. Sanders has struggled to stay healthy every year since entering the NFL. That injury-prone label is becoming harder and harder to ignore. The Broncos now face a difficult decision regarding his future. One route could be placing him on injured reserve, IR. If that happens, Sanders' only path back to the active roster this season would be via an injury settlement, a full recovery, and a re-signing later in the year, similar to what they did with Brandon Johnson a couple of years ago. Alternatively, they could opt to shut him down for the entire season, allowing him to rehab in the building, or perhaps even move on entirely. It's a hard pill to swallow, but these are the decisions that shape a roster. This injury doesn't just impact Sanders. It creates a ripple effect across the linebacker room. With Sanders out, depth becomes an immediate concern. However, there are silver linings. Dre Greenlaw and Alex Singleton remain the presumed starters and have shown reliability. Justin Stranad, who filled in admirably last year when Singleton went down, now finds himself in a crucial backup role once again. He could see more snaps if injuries hit again. Then there's Lavelle Bailey, a name you might want to remember. He's been lighting it up in camp, especially when it comes to forcing turnovers. He's had a field day taking the ball away from tight end Lucas Kroll, who himself hasn't had the best start to training camp. Bailey's emergence comes at just the right time. And let's not forget about Karen Reed, the undrafted free agent out of Utah. Both Reed and Bailey have made strong enough impressions to possibly absorb the loss of Sanders, at least temporarily. But still, it begs the question, do the Broncos need to bring in another linebacker? There's chatter around the idea. One name that surfaced is Jahlani Tavai, a veteran with Super Bowl experience. While Tavai missed most of last season due to injury, his leadership and experience could be exactly what this group needs right now. At the very least, he's worth a phone call to gauge his interest and physical condition. If not Tavai, maybe another veteran or even another undrafted gem could be an option. Ultimately, the Broncos will need to make a corresponding move if Sanders does land on IR. That could mean adding someone new or simply shifting roles internally. But no matter what, this situation is a massive blow, not just for Drew Sanders but for the team's linebacker core and defensive depth as a whole. This is where things get even more critical for the Broncos' defensive strategy moving forward. Drew Sanders was expected to contribute significantly this season, potentially even breaking out if he could finally stay healthy. His athleticism, his nose for the ball, and his ability to cover space made him a unique weapon in this linebacker room. Losing him doesn't just mean losing depth, it means losing versatility, and that's something Sean Payton and Vance Joseph can't easily replace with a plug-and-play solution. If you take a step back and look at the broader linebacker picture, it's clear that Alex Singleton and Dre Greenlaw have the experience and leadership needed to hold things down. Singleton's been a tackling machine, and Greenlaw brings that edge and physicality that you need in the AFC West. But they both come with their own concerns. Singleton is a bit older, and Greenlaw has a history of nagging injuries himself. That makes the depth behind them all the more vital. Justin Stranad's situation becomes fascinating here. He's one of those guys who's always kind of floated around the roster, never quite locking down a starting role, but always staying just relevant enough to be in the mix. Now, with Sanders out, this might be his final opportunity to carve out a meaningful role. Coaches already trust him to handle special teams and fill in as needed, but can he make the leap to being a true rotational piece on defense? The time is now for him to prove it. Lavelle Bailey might be the most exciting part of this puzzle. The rookie's been making noise all over training camp, and the energy he brings has been contagious. He's been particularly effective at creating turnovers, something this defense has been emphasizing this offseason. If Bailey can translate that playmaking into preseason games, the coaching staff might have no choice but to give him a longer look, maybe even regular season snaps. He's hungry, and with the opportunity wide open now, don't be surprised if he grabs it. Karen Reed is another guy to watch closely. Coming in as an undrafted free agent, expectations were low, but he's quietly built a strong case for himself. He's physical, plays with a chip on his shoulder, and has flashed the ability to read plays quickly. When a team gets hit with injuries like this, it's these unheralded names that can become difference makers. Think about past Broncos like Chris Harris Jr. Sometimes adversity forces you to discover hidden gems. Now, returning to the idea of signing a veteran, that's something the front office has to be weighing right now. Sean Payton isn't afraid to make bold moves, especially if it means stabilizing the defense. If Jawan Bedley is healthy, he makes sense as a stopgap. He's been through playoff battles, understands defensive schemes, and can mentor some of the younger guys. But his own injury history makes that a gamble. There's also the cap situation and roster spot math to consider. Any move the Broncos make would likely mean saying goodbye to another fringe player. Let's also talk about scheme implications. With Sanders out, the Broncos lose a player who could flex between inside and outside responsibilities. He could blitz, drop into coverage, and chase down runners in space. That kind of hybrid skill set is rare. Without him, the coaching staff may have to get more creative with their sub-packages. We could see more dime looks, more safety involvement in the box, and possibly more reliance on edge players dropping into coverage, a riskier but necessary adaptation. And for Sanders, you can't help but feel the emotional weight of this moment. This was supposed to be his year. Coming off a rough couple of seasons and finally healthy, he was expected to show why the Broncos took a chance on him in the draft. Instead, he's back in the training room, back to rehab, and back to answering questions about durability. You hope he can bounce back, but the margin for error in the NFL is razor thin. Another year lost could mean the window for his Broncos career starts to close. So now the ball's in Denver's court. Do they stay the course and trust the youth movement? Or do they bring in reinforcements and adjust the game plan? This next week could be pivotal, not just for the linebacker unit, but for the entire direction of this defense. Let us know in the comments, should the Broncos put their faith in Lavelle Bailey and Karen Reed, or is it time to go veteran hunting and bring in a stabilizing force? Go Broncos!